What is depression? Most people go through periods of feeling down, but when you are depressed, you feel persistently sad for weeks or months, rather than just a few days. Some people think depression is insignificant and not a genuine health condition. They are wrong. It is a real illness with real symptoms. Depression is not a sign of weakness or something you can come out of by being brave. It's often said that depression results from a chemical imbalance, but that figure of speech doesn't capture how complex the disease is. Research suggests that depression doesn't spring from simply having too much or too little of a certain brain chemicals. Rather, there are many possible causes of depression, including faulty mood regulation by the brain, genetic vulnerability, stressful life events, medications, and medical problems. It's believed that several of these forces interact to bring on depression. It is not a simple matter of one chemical being too low and another too high. Rather, many chemicals are involved, working both inside and outside nerve cells. There are millions, even billions of chemical reactions that make up the dynamic system that is responsible for your mood, perceptions, and how you experience life. With this level of complexity, two people might have similar symptoms of depression, but the problem might not be the same and therefore require entirely different treatment. With the help of increasingly sophisticated forms of brain imaging such as PET, positron emission tomography, SPECT, single photon emission computed tomography, fMRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging, we have a better understanding what may be affected by depression, and the areas that play a significant role in depression are the amygdala, the thalamus, and the hippocampus. The mood improves as neurons grow and form new connections. This process can take weeks before there is an improvement after addressing the problem. Depression can have huge consequences. It impairs cognition in both non-emotional domains, such as planning and problem solving, and emotional and social areas, such as creating intentional bias to negative information. Sleep and circadian rhythm disruption is a common feature in many psychiatric disorders, including depression and anxiety. Stress hormones such as cortisol plays a key modulatory role in sleep. Elevated cortisol level can therefore interfere with our sleep. The ultimate goal in treating the biology of depression is to improve the brain's ability to regulate mood, and the neurotransmitter is not the only important piece of jigsaw. Neurotransmitters are chemicals that relay messages from neuron to neuron. Every part of your body, including your brain, is controlled by genes. Genes make proteins that are involved in biological processes. Throughout life, different genes turn on and off, so that in the best case, they make the right proteins at the right time. But if the genes get it wrong, they can alter your biology in a way that results in your mood becoming unstable. In a person who is genetically vulnerable to depression, any work-related stress or a medical illness can then push this system off balance. Mood is affected by dozens of genes, and as our genetic legacies differ, so do our depressions. The hope is that as researchers pinpoint the genes involved in mood disorders and better understanding their functions, depression treatment can become more individualized and more successful. Patients would receive the best medication for their type of depression. The next piece of depression jigsaw is stress. At some point in life, nearly everyone encounters stressful events. Death of a loved one, loss of a job, or difficult life partner. Stress plays an important role in depression. Stress, genetics, and biology is a recipe for depression. Stress triggers a chain of chemical reactions and responses in the body. Let's look at some of the key factors. Early loss or trauma. Certain events can have lasting physical as well as emotional consequences. Researchers have found that early losses and emotional trauma may leave individuals more vulnerable to depression later in life. Let's turn information to knowledge and knowledge to wisdom. Join me on the journey to seek enlightenment and vanquish ignorance. Profound early losses, such as the death of a parent or the withdrawal of a loved one's affection, may resonate throughout life, eventually expressing themselves as depression. When an individual is unaware of the wellspring of his or her illness, he or she can't easily move past the depression. Moreover, unless the person gains a conscious understanding of the source of the condition, later losses or disappointments may trigger its return. Traumas may also be etched on the psyche. A small but intriguing study in the Journal of the American Medical Association showed that women who suffered abuse had more extreme stress responses than women who had not been abused. The women had higher levels of stress hormone ACTH and cortisol, and their hearts beat faster when they performed stressful events. Many researchers believe that early traumas causes subtle changes in brain function that account for symptoms of depression and anxiety. The key brain regions involved in the stress response may be altered at the chemical or cellular level. Changes might include fluctuations in the concentration of neurotransmitter or damage to nerve cells. However, further investigation is needed to clarify the relationship between the brain, psychological trauma, and depression. The next factor is medical problems. Certain medical problems are linked to lasting, significant mood disturbances. In fact, medical illnesses or medications may be at the root of up to 10 to 15% of all the depressions. Among the best known culprits are two thyroid hormone imbalances. An excess of thyroid hormone, hyperthyroidism, can trigger manic symptoms. On the other hand, hypothyroidism, a condition in which your body produces too little thyroid hormone, often leads to exhaustion and depression. Heart disease has also been linked to depression, with up to half of heart attack survivors reporting feeling blue and many having significant depression. Depression can spell trouble for heart patients. It's been linked with slower recovery, future cardiovascular trouble, and a high risk of dying within about 6 months. Although doctors have hesitated to give heart patients older depression medications called tricyclic antidepressants because of their impact on heart rhythms. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors seem safe for people with heart conditions. The medical conditions have also been associated with depression and other mood disorders. Multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, Huntington's disease, stroke, some nutritional deficiencies such as lack of vitamin B12, other endocrine disorders such as problems with parathyroid or adrenal glands that cause them to produce too little or too much of particular hormones, certain immune system diseases such as lupus, some viruses and other infections such as hepatitis and HIV, cancer, reproductive health issues in men. When considering the connection between health problems and depression, an important question to address is which came first, the medical condition or the mood changes. There is no doubt that the stress of having certain illnesses can trigger depression. In other cases, depression precedes the medical illness and may even contribute to it. To find out whether the mood changes occurred on their own or as a result of the medical illness, a doctor carefully considers a person's medical history and the result of a physical exam. If the depression or mania springs from an underlying medical problem, the mood changes should disappear after the medical condition is treated. If you have hypothyroidism, for example, lethargy and depression often lift once treatment regulates the level of thyroid hormone in your blood. In many cases, however, the depression is an independent problem, which means that in order to be successful, treatment must address depression directly. Could your medications be making you depressed? According to a recent US study, many commonly prescribed drugs may increase the risk of depression. The list includes heart and lung medications, birth control pills, and some painkillers. More than a third of the drugs the 26,000 participants took had depression as a possible side effect. It is vital to disclose all the medication to your doctor or therapist and when your symptoms began. A professional can help sort out whether a new medication, a change in dosage, or interactions with other drugs or substances might be affecting your mood. Most people who take these medications will not experience mood changes, although having a family or personal history of depression may make you more vulnerable to such a change. Some of the drugs cause symptoms of feeling unwell or loss of appetite that may be mistaken for depression. Even if you are taking one of these drugs, your depression may spring from other sources. The good news is that with the right treatment and support, most people with depression can make a full recovery. For mild depression, there is evidence that exercise can help depression, and it's one of the main treatments for mild depression. Ideally, if you can play sports according to your physical health and interest, that would massively help. Talking through your feelings can be helpful. When you share how you feel and things that are going on in your mind to get a reassurance from the listener helps you calm down. For moderate depression, counseling and CBT are recommended. In counseling, speaking to a therapist helps in calming down the activity of the mind. The feeling of support and care helps a lot. In CBT, therapists work with the patient to break down the problems into their separate parts, such as their thoughts, physical feelings, and actions. The therapist will then be able to help to work out how to change unhelpful thoughts and behaviors. For severe depression, combination therapy is recommended in these cases, where a mixture of antidepressant medication and CBT is prescribed by the clinician. And finally, if you are suffering from depression or someone you care, following actions are very helpful. Try to be active and exercise. Set realistic goals. Try to spend time with other people. Confide in a trusted friend or relative. Try not to isolate yourself and let others help you. Expect your mood to improve gradually, not immediately. Postpone important decisions of your life, such as getting married or divorced, or changing jobs until you feel better. Discuss decisions with others who know you well and have a more objective view of your situation. Continue to educate yourself about depression. If you are interested to know more about the parts of the brain mentioned in this session, please watch my videos. One is brain anatomy and its functions, and second one is neurons, brain's building blocks. The links are in the description. And thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like, subscribe and share. Also leave a comment down below to let me know what do you think of this video. Thank you.